I was trying to do pre-recordeds, and I was just being unserious, bouncing all over. So this like take 1,000,001. So I figured I'd come live and direct on the live of the Saturn retrograde. So shout out to all my spiritual content creators and influencers and teachers right now. But we're going to bring some reality because I have natal Saturn in my 7th house. So this isn't just Saturn coming into the house you have Pisces in for me. This has been that way. And I got Saturn retrograde natally. So Saturn in Pisces has nothing to do with Pisces. Like I said, shout out to my spiritual influencers talking about from their perspective, from their reality, from their illusions, from their imaginations, what this shadow work is going to be looking like for the Saturn in Pisces. Really, it's going to be re-emphasis and emphasis on boundaries, not being taken advantage of, not taking advantage of yourself, not taking advantage of your energies, your higher angles, not taking advantage of your demons. Because the thing is, it's going to be a lot of escapism going on, right? So people have been moving forward in the dreams and imaginations and delusions, grounding it, structuring it, making, the carnival games when you got to throw the ball and you got to get the ball into the different cups of waters. Doing that, different cups of waters is Pisces, collective love and unconditional dreams and imaginations, right? And it's, at the carnival, so that's straight up Pisces energy right there. Slapping my knees a lot. 9th house, Taurus energy, Mars and Taurus. But, yeah. Everyone's moving forward, grounding. So now, when you're dealing with retrograde energies, it's more escapism from the reality. And sometimes it's needed. Sometimes you need to escape from your reality. Sometimes you need to escape from the disillusionment. If that's what is necessary for you to ground your dreams, imaginations, and delusions in a practical way to carry out that shadow work. Because when you're in the element of water, sea creatures, the coral reefs, these things still have their place for shadows in the water. And when you're peering into the waters, refraction of light, you look, what normally the object will be here, but you look through the waters, it will be over here. That's an illusion, dream, and imagination delusion. So there's still shadows, right? When you're peering into the waters, and illusions that you need to escape into, to ground, if that's necessary for you. Because check out this allegory. This is why I say it has nothing to do with Pisces. It's because it has nothing to do with Pisces. Because look, these are the symptoms of disillusionment. Disillusionment, the symptoms. You therefore deal with disappointment, betrayal, or discrepancies erode the trust in one or other's judgment, loss, lack of trust. Your self-esteem, you question your ability to judge situations accurately. It puts a strain on relationships, and it can build distance, resulting in distance, resentment, or communication breakdown. And the communication breakdown is interesting because where you're trying to escape from the shadow work may appear to look like Jupiter and Gemini energy, because Jupiter is displaying the higher octave of expanding and, that internal wisdom related to bringing your heaven down to earth, You know, all these allegories that you see in certain biblical texts or in spiritual, philosophical, theological texts, bringing this heaven, manifesting this down on earth, and being persecuted because of, well, we're supposed to wait till we die. AKA, you're supposed to just keep living in that delusion. But the Saturn retrograde is telling you, no, you're not living in the delusion. You're not waiting until you die. This heaven is coming on earth. So you have to manage till the gardens, take care of the land. That's why Pisces is sextiled by earth elements, by cardinal earth, and by fixed earth, to either build upon dream and imagination or value of something that you have that's grounded, or AKA having nothing to do with Pisces, Pluto retrograde in Aquarius into Capricorn. Because when you go through disillusionment, if you yank yourself, this is why I talk about doing what's necessary if you have to escape from a disillusionment status where you can tear down and be manipulative to yourself and others. Or trying to expand in Jupiterian like energy with Gemini, a bunch of information, setting boundary, a bunch of talking and two-sidedness, to where you're just going deeper in the rabbit hole, setting boundaries as you go along, and now this is your new reality. But you have people, places, and things, dreams, imaginations, and energies that are having the reality that you projected onto them. That was something that you were either escaping from, or idealism that you were projecting out. That's their reality. But you setting boundaries just as you go along is you trying to escape into okay, I have this wisdom. We're going with this experience. Regard to Gemini energy. Questioning things. AI. Expanding on information. Expanding on having numerous tabs open, like the cup of water, and you're just bouncing the ball, and whatever cup it lands in, that's that cup. So you might just project your energy if your ball lands into a cup of someone else's life, or an area where you want to project this dream and imagination, or it lands in this cup and people are just left looking stuck. So that's just if you keep going further in avoiding. But if you take on one disillusionment at a time, take your own pace, right? Because when you're deep diving into those waters and you pull yourself up to the surface, what happens? You have the water pressure, right? You have that pressure, all that pressure. You look into a pool of water, you see light refracted. What's here appears to be here. When you look into those waters, the shadow of the object that you're looking at is refracted, because the light still hits the waters and it's a refracted shadow. Your shadow work that you might be doing might be working, but your shadow is still in another, like a shift over, because your light body is a shift over. So you're misunderstanding the refraction of the energy into the water. You understand? So when you pull yourself up out of that disillusionment of the river, when you're going through that disillusionment too fast, what happens to the body, the structure, Capricorn? The oxygen inside of your body, the air, Aquarius, it's going to be pressurized and it's going to escape. It's going to explode out through the vessel, through the shelter, Capricorn, your structure, your status, your representation. So everything that you're doing shadow work on with this Saturn retrograde has nothing to do with Pisces. It has to do with just an extension, an imaginary extension, imagery extension, right? Because it isn't projected onto the movies. It's more like a trailer, or it's more like a director with a vision. It's on paper, it's on the script, memorizing the script, Jupiter in Gemini. But all the props, all the CGI, all the decorations in the background, like I said, it being sextile by 2 earth signs, all the props in the background, aka Mars and Taurus, is now you're slowly moving your props into the scene. But as the props are moving into the scene, now you gotta relook over the script and make sure what matches. And then you got Capricorn with the status and the reputation and the foundation. Okay, you might be working on shifting the foundation as far as your status and reputation because of that. Because it's about Pluto in retrograde, your fear or your power, control, and transformative abilities, issues, or compromising. You're compromising with your associations. Shout out to that nigga Titus. The people and places and things and scenarios and situations that you're rubbing shoulders with, or that you're separating from, or rebelling from to get a higher angle thought, right? It's dealing with taking power, control, and fear over that. It's dealing with the things that you should have been working on with Pluto and Aquarius. Reputation, with the way you're using your status or platform, positive and negative, and the way that a platform or a status is used, positive or negative. And with Saturn recently going into retrograde, this is the opportunity for you to plant the seeds now, in the present, not just living in the future, like Lilith and Virgo, over worrying and being too far into the future with power control and worrying about something. Like, you worry about something because it's going out into the world on its own. It's got everything it needs, but what if this? What if that? What about the nervous system, how it reacts to, okay, it's got this responsibility, right? So boom, opposing Lilith and Virgo. So you're worrying about that thing going out there, right? But if you're utilizing your golems, right, you might project a golem, a status or reputation for how you're seen. You might want to kill that golem or sacrifice that golem without that golem's permission, because it's an extension of you. So you're killing off a piece of yourself, or you're afraid of a piece of yourself, of a status, or your status might be using you. You're doing things to keep up with this image, to uphold this image, right? And so your dream and imagination, it's been a hell and a nightmare, and you've been associating and shaking hands with demons and devils. This is why the Saturn video keeps pausing. Pluto in retrograde in Aquarius, and that's what I wanted to say about, everyone talk about Saturn retrograde today. It's still dream, imagination, and delusion. Who gives a fuck about your dreams, imagination, and delusion? Because Saturn's turning that upside down, or not even like to hurt you, but for you to be able to grow and expand. You gotta pull the weeds. You gotta move some plants to pots and bring them indoors and water them and nurture them, because it might be too much competition amongst your outdoor plants and the roots and the stems that are expanding, So this is what Saturn retrograde has nothing to do with Pisces, and more so to do with Pluto in retrograde, from the seeds that you have planted and or reflecting, having something to stand on, or having people, places, and things around you to stand on that are going to assist you, that you are learning from, that you are while you're teaching yourself and teaching others, you're learning to teach. You're learning to learn others for yourself. Your universal interconnectedness, and learning other pathways that you've been skipping, or corners that you've been cutting. And that's just my take on it. That's just my dream, imagination, and projection of how I see it. Comment down below the house you have Pisces in, and share this video, share this live. And I appreciate you all for chiming in. Moss, Jalen's Purpose.